What's up, guys?
Oh, the red light's on? But I didn't see the red light. It wasn't on.
It's been on the whole time.
L. Dawson, Dave Van Auken. L, how are you?
I'm doing great. We're here, guys. We're here. And I promise we are paying attention.
Yeah. I'm locked into this show. It's going to be a good show, guys. It is spring break for me. The kids are all amuck. We're all crazy. We eat dinner at 9 o'clock at night. I don't know what's happening in my life, but there's fights on every week, all week. But, L, before we get into so much, we got Sam Alvey coming on the show. We got G always coming on at 2 Savage time. Ian Parker, never talked to Ian Parker. Very excited. A big PFL next month for April. So we'll talk to Ian Parker. But I have a confession to make, Al. Are you ready for this confession?
I don't know. It's always a hit or miss with Dave, guys.
I know. I'm going to even make this into a solo thing.
Oh, cool.
Dude, good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon.
What's up, Chris?
All right. So you ready for this one now? I'm going to try some. I'm going to make a confession, and then you can make fun of me afterwards, I think. All right?
All right.
So my confession is to you guys. I've been dealing with this. This has been on my heart for a long, long time, and I just have to be honest with the people here in Fight Banana. So on this confession, it happened on December 10th, 2022. And maybe not a lot of people have that date. That date's been tattooed on my heart for a long time. December 10th, 2022. On that day, it's so hard for me to say. So hard. I made a bet and wager on Darren Till to beat Dricus du Plessis. All right. That's it. It's off my chest. It's off my chest, El. I can move on with my life. I bet on Darren Till to beat Dricus du Plessis that day.
You probably weren't the only one.
UFC 282.
I mean, at the time, like DDP was not DDP yet. And we hadn't learned to appreciate the DDP style at that point in time, you know? I will say Darren Till was also not really Darren Till anymore at that fight, but I don't think you were the only one.
Right. I feel so much better. It's off my chest now. I feel better. I feel good.
I know we have Ian Parker coming on later, so I definitely want to ask him what his worst.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Pick he was the most wrong about ever. Because every betting guy's got a story like that, for sure.
Everyone. Talking about that, the University of Florida, my favorite college team. The Gators are a 1 seed. They won the SEC championship. They're playing Thursday and Friday. I can't wait. I'm a big March Madness guy, El. Big March Madness. I know you have no idea what that means.
I know what March Madness is, okay? I'm not that far off, okay?
Someone's getting autographs? What's going on here?
Oh, yeah. He mailed us a thing.
That's awesome.
Go Gators.
Come on, Sean, dude. Let's go Gators. The shirt I'm wearing, real quick, though, shout out to Ross and Maddie Levine. Turbo Kickboxing Academy, TKA. That's what the kids call it. They are up and running. I'm so proud of them, Al. From afar, I love what they're doing. Huh? No, this is Ross Levine's shirt, not the TKA shirt. I can't afford that one yet. Yeah. So this is a Ross shirt. So I wore that for him. So there you go. Okay. Shout out to the Levines.
Opening their new gym. It looks fan-freaking-tastic. So if you guys are in the New England area, definitely go check that out.
All right. Let's get into the show. Like I said, packed show. We have a fun topic to talk about later. I got a couple other nuggets that we will get into. But, hey, Marvin Vettori, I would say, Knuckles, we're close. We're cool with Marvin Vettori. Lost a unanimous decision to Roman Dolidze. Big fight for Roman. Roman keeps on winning. He's expecting, he called out. He wants a big 5 fight if it's against Izzy or Whitaker. That's his hit right on that main event. What's next for Roman? Do you think he gets that big time fight?
Yeah. I think it makes sense. The middleweight is not loaded with contenders. We definitely have more than we've had in recent years, but I think it makes sense to give him a Whitaker or an Izzy. Personally, I'd actually really like to see him fight Izzy.
Me too. I'm with you.
Because I think Izzy wins that fight, and I would love to see him get a win. And if he doesn't win that fight, that's a really good notch in Dolidze's belt. Just like I think that win just skyrocketed Vettori.
This is a real thing. This is a real thing. It's a real thing.
This is an
Bryce Mitchell's dealing with demons right now, and we people have to deal with the Nina drama curse. This is a real thing. I'm with you. Dawson, thank you.
How quickly did Bryce Mitchell become like the Tony Ferguson of this fighter's generation? Like, has he totally lost it?
Yeah, this is. You ready for this one? I think that he's worse than Tony in a way because Tony was always kind of out there when he was winning, losing. On the way up, he was throwing the ball. Like, that was always Ferguson. And we were like, dude, that's awesome. That's Tony. And he's Tony. Like, Bryce Mitchell was not this 18 months ago. He wasn't.
Right. Is it the CTE? Guys, yeah, let's like everybody throw out a prayer for Bryce Mitchell's soul.
Rigatoni being Marvis.
Rigatoni being Marvis.
This is great. SC's on top of it. Good point. This is very valid.
This is very, very valid. So there is an Italian restaurant, guys, right down the street from where we live in Coconut Creek, Florida. Right by American Top Team. And the other day, Grant and I decided to go check it out. No hate on Nina. She's awesome. I agree. I love watching Nina drama. I know not everybody does.
Elle, you can finish your story. We love Nina, but she is absolutely a curse. This is a real thing.
Fine, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Maybe it's the fighters that are too into their social medias during fight week are not doing as well. Maybe.
Is that a shot?
No. Is that
a shot?
It's just an open theory. Wow. It's not even my theory. It's just a theory. Anyway, so there's this Italian restaurant, right? So I think actually one of the Russian fighters told me about it. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Grant and I will take a date night. We'll go get some Italian food. So we go there and we're eating and the food's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
The bread, did you have oil in the bread?
Well, I didn't eat the bread because celiac disease. But
did Grant have the bread?
He did. It was great.
Okay. That's the first test of an Italian.
But I had some awesome, probably the best gluten-free pasta I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Phenomenal gluten-free pasta. So, and then Grant goes, oh, and I turn around and Marvin Vettori has walked into the restaurant, literally goes behind the bar and gets himself a bottle of sparkling water. And I was like, well, this must be a really good Italian restaurant because apparently Vettori is a regular here. So
Marvin's a reg at this restaurant, just goes behind the bar?
The Italian spot. The owner is very Italian. Wow. The food is top notch. We saw Marvin. Marvin brings all the Russians over there. I think he and Mago were there and some other guy. So however priced was that? Honestly, not bad. It was honestly very reasonably priced for the quality.
How much was an entree?
I don't remember exactly, but probably.
How rich are the Dawsons? They don't even care about the price of the menu, guys.
This was a month ago.
How rich are the Dawsons?
It was a month ago. But yeah,
whoa.
We picked a good Italian place because Vettori liked it.
I took my wife to the Garlic, which is our best Italian restaurant, New Smyrna Beach. Shout out Garlic. I know the price of the appetizer we bought. I know her wine was $14.50 for the bottle, for the glass. I know exactly how much it was. Great dinner, though, by the way. Great dinner. But how rich are the Dawsons?
Not even.
Wow.
Just bad with money.
All right. This is a phenomenal. This is going to be a great show. But let's read this. We love some Christopher Ross scene. When will we get the referee to start deducting points? The first house that happened against UFC Fight Pass 254. Yeah. It's not UFC Fight Night 254. It's UFC Vegas 104. Let's get that right off the rip. Okay.
Honestly, legitimate question.
It's a great question.
Which number fight night is it? Because if you go to the UFC schedule on Google, two cards next to each other both say UFC Fight Night 254, or they did last time I checked. But I digress. Chris, I agree with you 100%.
Totally agree with Chris. Agree.
You have to just start no more warnings. I understand warnings when it comes to a low blow where we both kicked at the same time and somebody's leg went where it wasn't intended to go. But we have a secret stat. The secret stash.
True, John. So true. All right, keep going. I'm sorry. I'll keep.
But yeah, no. Eye pokes, immediate deduction. It needs to happen.
If an opponent, if Marvin looked at Roman the wrong way, take a point away. Let's start taking points away. This is ridiculous. I want it to be when the substitute teacher comes in class and they just start yelling at kids right away to make a precedent. I think mixed martial art referees need to just be guys, anything. If you touch the fence, point. If you get close to the man region, point.
Fence grabs? No point deduction if the fence grab stops a takedown, no point deduction. You go down, and me as the offensive fighter that didn't get my takedown, I pick top dominant position. I either get to pick guard or half guard or side control. That's how you deal with fence grabs, because A striker will always, especially an explosive striker that's dangerous on the feet, will always choose to lose a point instead of losing the takedown.
Great point.
If you make that the rule, you'll never see another fence grab. I guarantee it. Make that the rule. That is straight from the mouth of Mike Brown, by the way.
Why does Vittoria remind me of an oversized? Oh, come on! This is too mean, Sean. We're a nice show. This is Sean.
Sean's
funny as hell, though, but that's not true, Sean. How are eye pokes still a thing? Do fighters poke each other in the eyes and sparring too?
I've been poked in the eye a couple times in the gym. But like it doesn't happen super often in the gym, I would say. Like I don't think that's happening regularly. It's probably happened to me 2 or 3 times in a decade of mixed martial arts.
The thing I would say, and I'm not a fighter, so you can tell me if I'm way off on this. When you're sparring, and yeah, you're sparring, I would assume I hear 60%, 75%. You're sparring legit. You're never fearing for your head to get taken off. Like in a fight, inside a UFC fight on a fight night, like sometimes you're scared and
you haven't watched female fighters train very often.
No, not my thing. I'm sorry.
It's 0 or 100. Here's the thing with sparring. We don't spar in fight gloves, guys. We spar in puffies. And puffies curve your hand. Puffies curve over your hand. So it's a lot harder to poke people in puffies than it is in fight gloves. But also when you're in a sparring, you probably you're here less. You're not meeting in these car crashes as much. It's a little bit more technical. But it's, it's a lot. I would say it happens much more rarely in the gym. I think the only times I've usually been poked is like I'm on somebody's back and they like reach back to grab an arm or something like, something like that is usually where I'd see it in the gym more often than like the way you see it in fights where somebody's like here.
Can we do a fun game, Elle, with you? Do you mind?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Sam Alvey's coming on the show in 2 minutes. Ryan, we're sending you some Gillian the Savage merch. I think you're going to love it a lot. But I opened up a box last week with our main man, Grant Dawson, and we got some really we got some great stuff. So I want to do a fun thing. So L. Dawson right there says the ruthless _ L. Dawson. If anyone can put in the chat L. Dawson's name on her ID, I will give a free UFC card. Can we do that, Elle? Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Are you okay with that? Live on air? Okay.
Nobody's gonna get it. So
if anyone can in the chat what L. Dawson's name on her ID that she has to check into a hotel for PFL in Orlando, Florida. Tawny, don't come in the chat. You will receive a free UFC card from us. There you go.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid nobody's gonna get this one.
Hey, it's a giveaway.
And we're not going to tell you either. So even like, unless somebody guesses it correctly.
If you guess it right. That is not correct. That is not correct. So Sam Alvey's coming on. Dude, talking about coming on the show right on time. Look at that, 35 seconds early. You got to love that. I think it's the first time, us bringing on Smiling Sam on the show. I believe so. I think he's been on the banner a couple times, but never on the live show with us. The Karate Combat World Heavyweight Champion, the one and only Smiling Sam Alvey. Let's go.
Hello, how are you guys?
Immediately showing off the smile.
Let's go.
All day, every day. I'm just a happy guy.
Us too. It's been 15 minutes of mockery so far on the show. So Sam, thank you for bringing some decency to the show. We missed it, man. First of all, how's everything? We are in spring break here in Florida. Are you guys in spring break time, or how's life?
I'm busy 24/7. I got kids in school, but because some kids are not in school, but they're too young. Can you let the dog in? So I don't think it's spring break yet, but okay. I never know what's happening.
Okay, there we go. I love it.
If the kids don't go to school, you'll know.
Yeah. Well, they all go. Yeah, for sure. Let's get right into it. A couple of fun stuff, but definitely on the horizon. April 2nd, Dubai. The heavyweight championship is on the line versus the legend Tyrone Spong.
What date did you say?
Is it May 2nd?
Okay, I thought you said April 2nd. There's no way there's that soon. I've been told it's May 2nd, although I've not signed a contract yet. Ooh. So Karate Combat, if you're listening, give me a damn contract.
All right, we'll send that to him. We had President Awesome on like 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about this fight. He was very excited about this fight. The heavyweight division's on fire because another maybe guy, but you're the champ. You're the man to beat.
Yeah.
How do you feel about?
There's a little difference. So Karate Combat, the heavyweight champ is 205. It's not an actual heavyweight.
Right.
So the belt I'm fighting for is super heavyweight.
Okay.
But Karate Combat is going to eliminate my belt and just make it light heavyweight. And so I'm fighting for the heavyweight.
Which will be the actual.
Yeah, actual heavyweight.
Heavyweight, right?
Yes.
Would you want to come back down after you defeat Spong and you're the heavyweight? Would you want to come back down and get your light heavyweight championship?
I'm going to defend both. I am no Conor McGregor. I will defend every belt I have. I will be fighting every other month. 6 times a year, 12 times a year with 2 belts.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Do you feel like with the Karate Combat structure, do you feel like it's easier to be more active than you would have been able to be in MMA, just like the toll on your body and whatnot?
As far as the toll on the body, yes. Karate now, because I fought with the UFC for so long, the UFC has 4 fights a month. I could fight whenever I wanted. Karate Combat has 1 show a month. Hopefully someday they're going to be big enough where they have the 4 shows, and they're doing all the right things. Like I could see it coming in the near future. But it was easier to stay busy in the UFC. But in the UFC, I was hurt every time for a fight. So maybe it's good for me. I fight a little less.
Makes sense.
That's true. What's your take on Tyrone Spong? You know, kind of a legendary name in the sport for a long time. Has been all over the world. Now fighting you in Dubai. I would love your take on Tyrone's kind of game and what you think of him.
It is hard to find a better kickboxer in the world. He is, I would say, he is the GOAT of kickboxing, of Muay Thai, of striking sports. He is. It's hard to find people with more fights than me. I'm over 80. He's over 153. And it's hard to find people with more experience than me, but he has it. Now, he does not have the experience in the pit, and that does change things. I was blessed with a couple quick wins early as I was getting my feet wet. But now at this point, I know how to use that pit. I train with that pit.
I think that's a big point. Actually, one of my questions, 3rd, 4th down, was your transition to Karate Combat has been phenomenal. Did you think when you first was brought to it, you know, at the essence of Karate Combat, did you think you would transition this well, or you kind of have surprised yourself like, hey, I'm pretty good at this damn thing?
You know, I'm a fighter, so no matter what you say, you're going to fight in the moon tomorrow. So, hell yeah, I am, and I'm going to win too. I'm going to fight a Martian. I'm going to beat whoever. It is the fighter mentalities. You could beat anyone at any time, any place. But after playing in the pit for a couple fights, it's like that pit changes stuff, and it's changed my style. It was the rise and fall of my career in the UFC. Was I always fought with my back foot on the cage. It stopped takedowns. I was really good from there. Once they figured it out, I didn't change as fast as I needed to. Karate Combat with the slope side, with the slanted pit, it has forced me to walk forward. It has changed my game plan faster than practice could, and I think I've adapted well to it.
Speaking of guys who have adapted very well in Karate Combat, Dave knows exactly, he put the comment up for me, knows exactly where I'm going with this. Robella Spain has kind of taken the Karate Combat fan base by storm. And will be, obviously you guys will be in the same division here at heavyweight. He didn't do as well in the UFC, has done really, really well in Karate Combat. Is he on your radar yet? And
absolutely. He will be my first defense. I mean, assuming he doesn't lose between now and when he and I fight. He's had 3 fights and he's been in the pit for 23 seconds or something. It's ridiculous. Just the speed and power he has is just second to none. Now, everyone he's fought has fought him the exact same way. They walk directly in front of him and stop moving. I will not do that. That will not be my plan when I fight that man. Each fighter thought, well, this guy, he's definitely not going to just stand in front of him and get. Well, no. By the time the words are out, the guys have been knocked out. So he's looked so good, and he will be assuming, someone doesn't come down and put him in his place, which I couldn't expect to happen. I'll be defending my belt against him before long.
When we first started this, when you talked about how many fights you've had, and we talked about Spong, how many fights he's had. Would you have imagined, Sam, when you started, whatever this is, right? It's not just like an MMA career anymore. There's so much. There's big boxing fights and Karate Combat. And there's so much happening. There's influencer fights that make huge, and there's crossover stuff. would you have imagined when you got into karate or combat sports years and years ago that we would be in 2025 and you've had this career that taken, all over the world, hopefully make a ton of money. Would you thought when you first started this, that this would be this big in 2025?
When I first started this, I didn't know what the UFC was. I didn't know anything. Somebody said, I'll give you $200 if you fight. I said, all right, I'm in. And that's where I started fighting. So shoot, if I fight 6 times a month, I'll have rent. And so I just fought all the time, constantly. And that's just the way it was. Eventually, I was probably 6-1 as a professional, before I learned there was a UFC and a way to make a living with it. So, I should start training. So I started training. And it was just, I was a band nerd. I wasn't supposed to be a fighter in video games and stuff. I wasn't supposed to be a world champion. I was a band nerd
too. Let's go.
Yeah, well, what instrument you play?
I was in percussion.
Okay, all right.
Kind of in band.
Come on, not really.
That's where they.
What band? What instrument did you play, Sam?
Oh, I'm a trumpet player. I was a good trumpet player.
Nice.
I was semi-professional, as they say. I never made any money, but the people I played with made money.
Nice.
And that's the I made $200 to fight, so I said more than I'm making playing my trumpet. So I put the trumpet down, and now I really haven't picked it back up.
Well, I was gonna say, do you miss it at all? Did you would you want to dust that thing back off?
Oh, can't hear.
I can't hear you.
Let me log back on. Come back on.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. I think he got a phone call or something. That happens all the time. If someone gets a phone call, he's a busy man.
The speaker.
Sean Moody. Hey, does anyone else can you guess L. Dawson's name on her ID? We haven't done this. Come on now.
We only had 2 guesses.
Here we go. Sam's coming right back on. You good, Sam?
Somebody called me. I hit decline, but kicked me off the audio. Yeah.
No worries.
I asked you, have you would you want to go back to the instrument? Are you would you want to dust off the old saxophone trumpet one day?
Don't you dare call me a saxophone player.
I'm sorry.
And be fighting words. I still have it. My daughter's playing now, so I pick it up and toot around with her anymore.
Okay.
I used to be able to play for hours. Now it's minutes, but I can still hold a note.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Another good question.
Okay,
you go, El. Ladies
I was
first.
just gonna say, speaking of life after fighting and whatnot, 38 years old now, how many more years do you plan to spend in the pit? Oh no, somebody called him again.
Dude, he's a busy man.
The busy man.
He's a busy
Gotta
man.
get him the do not disturb button.
Elizabeth Dawson, not it.
Incorrect.
Not it.
Sorry, guys.
I could see Sam playing Feels so good. Dude. Dawson is top notch content from Dawson all the time. Here we go.
There we go.
Good, Sam?
Hey. There we go.
I'm good. Sorry. Okay. Somebody called again, so I put it.
Dude, you're a busy man. People love it. Yeah. Keep going now. What was your?
Oh, sorry. I said, at 38 years old, how many more years do you plan to spend in the pit, and do you have plans for life after fighting?
Like every other fighter that's ever lived, I have no plans for life after fighting.
Hard to imagine, right?
No, I'll run for president. Why not? Yeah, I like to say I'm at the halfway point of my career. I
love it.
I had a question on TikTok a while back, and I got a good response. How many of you out there think you could still beat the you from 10 years ago? And honest to God, I think I could beat the me from 10 years ago. I think I've changed enough. I've gotten bigger. I've improved in the areas that I was not. And as long as I can say I would beat the man from 10 years ago, I plan on fighting. I'm sure there'll come a
good answer.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll come a time when I don't feel I could. 10 years from now, if I could, God, it'd be impressive if I could still beat me up.
Yeah. Hey, I'm pretty sure Czech Congo was fighting at 52 or something nuts like
dear
that.
Lord. Yeah, but I just got to get bigger. That's the secret. I got to get bigger. I left the UFC and I got big. I'm 245 and I'm feeling great about it. And I'm really enjoying that. So I'm not quite Czech Congo size, but I'll work on it.
That's awesome. One of my things was, even with Robles kind of in the heavyweight division, we've had names. I remember you were in that card in Vegas with the headline by Pettis and Henderson. Are you intrigued with more names like that coming into the pit, or do you think Karate Combat, the brand, is big and strong enough that whoever's in there and just bring future younger guys in it and just really bring up the band? Or do you need some of these names, maybe with UFC past on the resume?
Anything to sell tickets helps. But the Karate Combat has done such a good job. Now, I like to say it started with me. They were doing well before me, but it was right when I signed with them, they really started taking off, that they started being known. And I like to think it was all because of me. I had something to do with it, at least.
I like it.
uh,
I like it.
and the more people that come in, the more eyes that get on it. It is quickly because, I think unarguably right now, you will say the best pure strikers in the world fight for Karate Combat. It used to be K1, it used to be Pride, it used to be IFL,
Glory.
IFC, Glory. It used to be that. Right now, and I don't see it slowing down, it's unarguably Karate Combat.
Love it.
I don't disagree, man. Like, I think we had like an era of one kind of doing that with like the Little Gloves Muay Thai. So fun to watch, by the way, just like always a banger. But like, I'm interested to see, do you think Karate Combat, like they have the pit grappling now, do you think they'll introduce more different rule sets in the pit?
They're pretty happy with what they have. I think they want to stay away from the MMA area. The problem, like the PFL and maybe the GFC, I think the GFL,
GFL,
I think that one's going to be big. I think that's going to be huge. But what a lot of these other smaller organizations that are trying to do is they're trying to compete with the UFC. Don't try and compete with the UFC. The UFC is the Goliath. You be you. You do things different. Maybe it'll take off. Karate Combat is not trying to compete with the UFC. The Karate Combat is doing their own thing. They're being the greatest striking league out there, and adding just a whiff of takedowns makes the striking so much more fun to watch. My problem with just kickboxing fights is without the threat of a takedown, you don't have to do a lot of stuff. You can just stand there. With the threat of a takedown, it has to change the way you move. And not being able to keep them down is fine. I love that part because that's the boring part of every fight is when it goes to the ground. I love wrestling. I love all that. Allie, stop. I love all that. But Karate Combat's rule set right now is set up to be the greatest strikers on the planet looking to fight here.
We have another real quick, Dave. We have another on that same topic organization starting this weekend with Mike Perry's Dirty Boxing. Do you feel like that's kind of in the same ballpark as Karate Combat with like a little bit of ground and pound, but not really much grappling element?
We'll see. We'll see. It seems gimmicky, but it's had two shows or one show, and this will be its second one. So everything seems. UFC seemed gimmicky at the beginning. We'll see how it grows. We'll see how entertaining the fights are. Maybe it'll be great. I love their first fight. They had Yoel Romero, I think, headlining it. What a great guy to headline anything. The guy's the most fun fighter to watch, like of all time. And he was just a miraculous athlete. So we'll see how it goes. It's got the potential to be something great. So did BKFC, and BKFC starting to slow down a little bit. And we'll see. BKFC, it started off and it really embraced the WWE attitude. Like it started doing, and I think it overshot. I think it did too much. Now people are looking at it. It just got people flashing each other after the fight. It lost some of the prestige it had when it first started. It does. I hope Mike Perry's doesn't do that. I hope it stays as classy as it can get and it has a unique look. And I hope it stays that. So I'm pulling for it.
Nice. Sam, we have a couple more fun questions, and we'll let you run, my man. Headline in Dubai. Hopefully, contract comes. They fax it to you today, my man. Hopefully, there's a couple extra zeros on there for you. But here's a couple fan questions. They go, Sam, I've lost count of how many kids you and your wife have. Are you done, or are there more little Alveys on the horizon?
Yeah, I lose count too. I think I'm at 6. What we like to say is on my ranch, I have 112 heartbeats. So that's and let's just say my wife and I are taking no precautions. We would be thrilled with another 6.
I love it. That's amazing. Amazing. Another last one for you to go. Would love to hear Sam's thoughts on Alex Poetan Pereira.
I thought his last fight was a boring fight, but I don't think it was his fault. But that's what everyone says. I think he's a fantastic striker. I think he's a real fighter, and there's not many of those left. And I think he has no ground game, and I can't believe people aren't taking advantage of it. Like, I'm a striker. I'm a Karate Combat greatest karate kid. I would shoot on him so fast. That bell would ring it out. We're wrestling today, son. Um, and
I love it.
everybody just tries to kickbox as a very established, very good kickboxer.
Right.
Ankalaev, I think if the rematch happens, I picked Ankalaev to win this one, but I thought he'd wrestle. I think Pereira makes the adjustments and then floors him. And you can even argue he won this last one, but I think Pereira wins the rematch.
I love it. Sam, it was such a great to talk to you. Always been a big fan of you from afar. I think you've done some things under the banner, but I've never talked to you personally, so I appreciate it, Sam. Thank you so much. Cannot wait. Tyron Spong, hopefully Dubai on May 2nd, we hear.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I just haven't signed it yet.
Sounds good, my man. Hey, have a great day. Appreciate your time.
All right, have a go, my friends.
Thanks, Sam. There we go. Smile and Sam Alvey.
What a guy.
Stud.
What a guy. What a smile.
All right. The comment section. We love you guys. We're getting into it right now. A ton in there. So let me push this button. All right. Then let's hit this one. So I think they said this about your thing, G.
What's up?
I mean, L. They said Gillian Robertson? No, that's not L's name. That's Gillian's name. Jake Nichols. Yeah, she'll be on at 2 p.m. That's not L's name. We got a L. Marilyn Dawson. Okay.
Actually, I have a cousin named Marilyn. Oh, that's
not it, Sam. Not it, Sean, but pretty good. Sean came in clutch. Mrs. Dump Trucks Dawson.
If that was on the ID, that would be impressive.
Not on the ID. Ryan goes L. Wagman Dawson.
Still wrong.
Still wrong.
Slightly closer, though.
Getting closer. Getting
closer than everybody else.
Yeah.
Says not even Google and AI.
Oh, yeah. Click that one. Yeah, I got it. Not even Google or AI knows what.
Honestly, I kind of like that. I'm glad AI doesn't know my business just yet, because we're definitely heading towards that.
Benjamin. Oh, I missed this one, Sean. I'm sorry. We would ask.
You missed a couple for Sean. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the Sam Alvey questions, but you guys were super busy in the.
Oh, where's this? There's one more about L. Oh, no, yeah. L. Wagman Dawson.
I used Google.
What is it then, Ryan? Put it in there. You'll get another free card because we got to give Ryan. We're getting Ryan. I think I'm going to get him something with G. We'll talk to G live here soon. But all right, that was Sam Alvey. He was great.
Too, so
Eleanor. Great. Before we get into UFC London, are we good on UFC Vegas 104? We're good. Was there any other fights jumped at you? Another eye poke though in the main event. You know, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of beat that dead horse. You know, like G and I touched on this. It was kind of funny. Like everybody was kind of like not excited for this card, and it just was one of the best Apex cards we've had. And then the fight that we were not super stoked for, but probably the most excited for, Chidi versus Zaleski dos Santos, while still a good fight objectively, was probably the biggest letdown of the card for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Eleanor Wagman.
Still wrong.
Pretty decent.
Better. There are 3 names on my ID, guys.
I'm gonna wait for G to really get into that. I have a big thing about Apex and UFC and stuff. We'll get into that. But right now, we saw some content out there in the world, and we love to do this and talk about it, have a good conversation. Saw this post. It was on MMA On Point on IG, giving them the shout out. It was from them. And it was about them talking about their champions 10 years ago. And they talked about, all the comments was about like how legendary this list is. Guys, let's get it. Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, bantamweight, featherweight, Aldo, lightweight, Anthony Showtime Pettis, welterweight, Robbie Lawler, middleweight, Chris Weidman, light heavyweight, John Jones, and heavyweight, Cain Velasquez, to the champions of 2025. I know Ilya's still there in featherweight, so let's just leave him in there. That fight hasn't happened yet, blah, blah, blah. And so there we go, guys. Everyone see it, 2015, 2025. If you're listening to us after this through audio, I'm sorry. Watch us live on YouTube. So after seeing this, and everyone was so adamant about like, oh, those are legendary guys, 2015, and they are, those are some studs. Yeah. Jose Aldo, Demetrius Johnson, some studs. And look at the 2025. I think our champions in 2025 is so disrespected. It's insane. Yeah. And of course, this post goes with it. The champions since 2021 are 53-0-1, guys. Like, What are we doing here? Look
Yeah,
at that record.
It's different now, guys. Now, I'm not
is.
saying that those guys aren't iconic, but if today's champions at their peak fought 2015's champions at their peak, 2025 is definitely coming out with more wins.
So there's 8 fights. Let's do it. Let's do it, El. Let's have fun. Pantoja versus Demetrius.
I have to say Pantoja.
That's a tough one.
That is a close
fight.
But Pantoja is bigger, and I think he can grapple with him.
Can I be devil's advocate? And I love Pantoja. Can I go with Mighty Mouse? Yeah. Okay. Bantamweight division. Merab Dvalishvili beats TJ Dillashaw 35 times in a row.
Okay? I agree. I 100% agree.
Merab smashes him. Guys, I love Jose Aldo. I was there in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The nicest human maybe in MMA history. Ilia Topuria puts hands on Jose. Am I right on this or wrong on this one?
I agree. I agree. I think Jose is an icon of this sport. And he still is so freaking good. But Ilia definitely wins that fight.
Yeah. Lightweight, Islam versus Pettis. I love Pettis. I've been at his events. I've talked to him. We love Pettis. Islam smashes Anthony Pettis, guys.
100%.
So right now, El, you have it 4-0 for 2025.
I do.
I have it 3-1. Welterweight division. I love Robbie Lawler. Met him. Super nice to me. And this is going to be the most probably polarizing one. Bilal Muhammad smashes Robbie Lawler. Smashes him.
Agreed. Yeah, he's too complete of a fighter.
Middleweight division. Chris Weidman, the All-American, defeated Anderson Silva not once, but twice. Versus Dricus Du Plessis, maybe the greatest middleweight specimen we've ever seen on this planet. Dricus wins.
I agree.
So you have
Here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets interesting. I think John Jones wins both of these fights at 205 and heavyweight. You know how I feel about Cain Velasquez.
You love Cain.
I adore Cain Velasquez. And to me, he's the heavyweight GOAT. But I think Jones wins these fights. I think Jones beats Magomed Ankalaev. I think obviously Jones of today beats Cain. And whether people are like, oh, well, they're more iconic. Sure. That's because that's how history works. GSP was not as well loved as he is now when he was an active champ. People called him boring. You become more of an icon over time. And I think that today's champions will become more of icons over time as well, you know?
Yeah. When we do this in 2025, 2035, I would assume the same thing, guys. The game, we should all be better. We should be better human beings, better dads, better whatever we do in life. You should be better. These fighters are just better specimens. They're better mixed martial artists.
Whether you somebody said whether you like it or not.
Sorry.
Like fighters get better over time. That's like the argument that Prime GSP beats Prime Usman. I disagree with that as well. You know, the fight
in what universe? Bilal never gets caught.
By what?
Bilal will run. Bilal Muhammad is one of the most underrated fighters. Maybe ever.
Lose. He literally just doesn't lose.
He beat the guy in the main event this weekend. He beat Leon Edwards. Like, what else do you want him? Yeah, I do have Mighty Man. And dude, I love Pantoja, El. I know he's a teammate, and I know it put you in a bad spot. I totally understand. And you don't have to say anything else.
It's an insanely competitive fight. I'm not discounting Ella's recency bias. No, I'm in the gym. You guys have to understand, I watch fighters. I've been watching fighters this whole time, but also in the gym. People are better now than they used to be. That's how the world works.
Yeah.
Wrestling is better than it used to be. Tennis is better than it used to be. Football is better than it used to be. Like there are exceptions and anomalies for sure, like John Jones. But for the most part, there's a great comment, Ryan. I would destroy myself 3 years ago. Same. And you should. That's how sports should work. Bilal does have it all.
He has it all, guys.
Favorite fighter. You have to give credit.
Yeah, it's such a polarizing thing because he's so misunderstood or so here's a fun thing about Bully Bilal Muhammad, guys. I was in Las Vegas, Nevada It was a Mexican Independence Day. I went to the Canelo fight. We were covering the Canelo Alvarez fight. Insane, by the way. If you, and I'm more of an MMA guy than a boxing guy, but if you have any chance to go see Canelo Alvarez live, it was a show. It was a circus inside a ring. Yeah, spectacle. Yeah, great word. But going on that same time, that same weekend, was the UFC Noche event. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marab. Noche was amazing. Me and my buddy John was helping with Fight Bananas. We went to the Noche thing for the weigh-ins, for like just media day. Like, it was awesome. It was so cool. So much stuff was happening. And there was UFC fighters doing the meet and greets for free at Noche. And there was 2 fighters left. One had a line, I'm not joking now, more than 200 people. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be like a 30-minute wait. And that was Yair Rodriguez. Really good fighter, 200 people waiting for him. And then there was another line. There was, I'm not even joking, I hate to say this out loud, but this is the truth. There were 6 people in line. And I go, John, you want to just go up and do that? Like, it's not my thing. You know that with me, it's really not my thing. The fighter was Bully Bilal Muhammad, who was the welterweight champion, sitting champion. 6 people.
How many in a row? How many has Bilal won in a row?
I've never seen him lose.
Let's see. Bilal Muhammad. Let's pull it on up. Dude's 24-3 overall.
Canelo is
3 in the UFC. Has not lost since 2019 against Jeff Neal. And before that, 2016 to Luque. Like, the dude's literally lost twice since 2016. That's wild. Or sorry, once since 2016.
SG, this is I guess a fair point. All we can do
that's not what we're saying, though.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not saying take the old champions and put them in today's era. That's different. The point is that the sport has evolved, because people are saying like today's champion. The argument that people make is that today's champions can't compete with the old age generation. And that's like, we see there's this guy, I don't even know his name. He thinks he's cooler than he is. It's like trashing on the next generation of lightweights, acting like they can't fill the shoes of Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, Chandler, when they absolutely can, because we just saw Esteban Rabovich and Nasrat Hakparas have an insanely high level, amazing fight. Neither guy's even ranked in the division. So like the argument that they're arguing that generation of fighters was better, when in fact they aren't. They've just, we get nostalgic over old age era athletes. It's normal. Like, it's absolutely normal to do that, because over time your legendary status, it increases. The longer you've been retired, the more nostalgic people are about you,
Right. That's so true. And kind of, it's a fun question with that, El. Do you where is Islam Makhachev is he part of the older era? To me, and this is just my 2 cents, I think he's more part of the newer generation. Am I wrong on that?
I agree. I mean, he was around in 2015, right? Like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Like, Islam was fighting without Reebok shorts on. So we know it's been a minute. Like, it's been a minute for Islam, but dude, this is 100% it. I actually know who these guys are, and I don't watch football, but people do this with every sport, and it's like the old farts being like, oh, those darn kids. And it's like, and then they grow up, and then the people who are young are like, oh, those darn kids and their music. Like, we're doing the same thing with sports, This is a very normal generational thing to do, but I'm telling you, like, it might seem like we're losing the best fighters ever, but I promise you, in 5-6 years, we're going to have a whole new generation of fighters to be absolutely over the moon about. That we aren't even paying attention. Thank you, Ryan, for looking this up. May 2015. So I was spot on. And the dude hasn't lost since he got knocked out by Martins, who then went on a 7-fight losing streak. I'm pretty sure. Something crazy like that. Like, yes, the sport evolves, but I do agree that maybe there used to be more mismatched fights, but I think that's because the sport as a whole has improved. Everybody's better now than they were before, Right. So it's like, we don't have a Ronda Rousey that's annihilating people, because the people that the female champions are fighting now are better than the people that Ronda was fighting. there isn't this huge skill gap between the champs and everybody else anymore.
That's such a great point. Now, just think of like someone like Holly Holm. Holly Holm crushed Ronda Rousey. Like there was this. And then Ronda Rousey's, Holly Holm's like next 10. She was like 5-5. She's a 50-50 fighter who, let's just be honest, the UFC said, oh, you want to leave and maybe try this GFL thing that probably is not going to work? Okay, sure. Like no sweat off our back. Like,
yeah. No, it's totally different now than it was before. I think the one female division where it honestly was always a little bit closer was probably 115, just because you have more athletes. You have more athletes in the lower classes. It's a little more competitive. I think everybody else was closer to Joanna than everybody at 135 was to Ronda when she was fighting, which is what made her so iconic, you know?
Right. And back to your lightweight statement, it's guys, my third favorite male fighter of all time is Dustin Poirier. You know, I get it. I get it. And I will always watch a Justin Gaethje fight. Do you like that? I put him third.
I love how you have like this very specific mental list. Dustin Poirier is my third favorite male fighter.
It's so funny. Grant's number one. I don't know who number two is right now. I just know Dustin.
Pantoja beat Grant out a few weeks ago. I'm just saying
that was a miscalculation by my point. Grant Dawson's my favorite male fighter. Okay. Back to what I was getting at, guys. No one loves these guys. Like Justin Gaethje. I never missed a Justin Gaethje fight. Right. You know, Max is kind of involved in there, I guess. Ilya, same thing. If Ilya Topuria is on the pay-per-view headline, are you going to miss that fight? No freaking way. Like he's so good, and his next fights are humongous. Like there's no.
Well, and just look at the guys who aren't even ranked at lightweight yet. Like Rabovics, like Nasrat, like
he announced his retirement on my interview with him. On who announced?
Dustin or Gaethje?
Come on, Ron. We had Dustin on a while back, and we know some inside scoops, but you know, we're good people here.
Nice.
And they're discussing
theatrics and costumes like Sugar and Colby. Yeah, we still have those. Dustin. I mean, he's been pretty vocal that this is going to be his last fight. I don't think that's like shocking news, right?
I would think Dave's number 3 fighter would be Poatan. No. He's not in my top 5. I love Poatan. Like I don't miss his fights, but he's not favorite. I don't have any connection with Poatan.
You guys, you have to remember Dave's favorite fighters is not purely based off watching them fight. It's based off who hangs out with Dave. If he has your phone number or not.
Dude, I think that was a shot. I'm not too sure. Maybe that was a compliment. I don't even know. I don't know. But on my platform, December 21st. Yeah. Ron, I'm very intrigued about this. Watch the interview.
I don't think this is like news, right?
Yeah.
Like Dustin's been pretty open about it.
Ron, send us the interview, my man.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. Please do. Justin has been saying for years he only has a couple left in him. Yeah. But then he still comes out and puts it out. I definitely think we're starting to see, I don't want to say decline of Gaethje, because I think that there's guys that they have to change their fighting style as they get older, because your reaction time goes down a little bit. Yeah, I don't see L's name on this.
I know L's got to be.
Y'all forget. It's like y'all forgot that L's a fighter too.
Yeah. I think it's
my fault for being hurt for 2 years.
It's so Rod BF. Dang, Chris got him. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I don't even think they have 70.
I don't.
Anyways, I'm sorry, too much into it. My top, I think I would go L. Gillian Grant. L. Grant Gillian. L's number 1.
G and I can share the top spot. I'm cool with that.
No. L.
Oh, I
love G. L, you're number 1.
You know, you say the opposite whenever G's here and not me.
That's not
I know, right? Sean, what's that about? I like this from SG. A good half. Hey, let's go, Ryan. Good half of the top 15 in lightweight are going to retire soon.
I agree. We talked about this. Yeah.
And this is what was kind of like on some other people's platforms, is they're saying like, oh, the younger generation can't beat those guys. It's like, no, the older generation isn't fighting those guys. A handful of them are. Dustin was willing to fight Benoit. you know, like, and we saw how that went. Like, obviously Benoit wasn't ready for that step up, but most of like Chandler, it's been ages before Chandler was willing to fight a Paddy Pimblett. Like, it took a long time for them to be able to make a fight like that happen. You know, most of these guys are not willing to fight backwards behind them in the rankings. So I think it's only good for the division for this new blood and these spots to open up in the rankings. You know,
talking about that, there's a fighter in the lightweight rankings, which he talked with Hunter Campbell. He is very vocal about and talked with Ariel Helwani about it. Looks like Rafael Fiziev is moving down to featherweight pretty soon.
I love that for him.
Yeah.
I do not. He looked so small fighting Gaethje, and that was on short notice.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have a bit of a problem. I used to think he was bigger for some reason. And then I went back and watched some of his old fights and I was like, I think I made him bigger in my mind because his fighting style is so scary. But he's really a small guy.
And it's so funny, out of the 50, can you bring up the top 15 rankings of lightweight?
Absolutely.
Like, it is wild that Fiziev might move down. Ilya, let's just be honest. If Ilya moves up and doesn't beat Makhachev, and just say, let's just throw it out there. If Ilya loses to Makhachev and Charles, he probably moves back down.
Is Ilya gonna get to fight Islam for his first fight at lightweight? Because he's saying he only wants to fight if it's for the belt. Are they gonna give him that fight? I don't think the UFC is very happy that they've lost their featherweight cash cow. Like, because now we're back to kind of where we were with the featherweight division before, where it's very likely that we're going to see Volk beat a lot of these guys. I think Volkanovski is going to beat Diego Lopez and in Miami here next month. And I think they really don't want Movsar to fight Volkanovski. So I don't know if we're going to get to see that fight. You know, I'm worried that I think the UFC is probably not very happy. I agree with Chris here. I don't think Ilya is getting this fight that he wants. And he's saying, he said something about like he wouldn't fight Arman or something like that. Was that correct? Or am I mixing that up?
No, he was saying he doesn't want to fight anyone. Not for the like he wants to fight for the belt. Like, guys, this is my thing. And tell me if I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Ilya Topuria was the champion of the featherweight division and one of the main stars, top 5, top 10 stars. To me, there's no way he leaves the division not knowing he wasn't going to fight for the championship next. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I just don't understand the move here. I don't think he's getting the title. I think he thought he had more power here than he actually does, and I think the UFC is not very happy with him, and they are very willing to let you know because they don't need Ilya at lightweight. They needed him at featherweight. I
agree with that.
Of contenders at lightweight.
I agree with that.
That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you, Chris. Charles Oliveira said he wouldn't fight Ilya unless Ilya was the champ. And then I think and then Ilya said he didn't want to fight Arman, I believe, as well.
I don't know.
No, and I think this is probably true, right? I think they told him if he wanted to go to lightweight, he needed to vacate the belt.
Yeah.
According to, I guess Diego Lopez did an interview and said that he was told that there were not going to be any more double champs. Like, you have to vacate if you want to go up or down. So, which I don't hate, to be completely honest. I don't like divisions being held up. I don't like.
Go back to your Ilya thing, right, El? I think there was Ilya's a humongous star. And he has star potential, and he's soccer, his look, everything. I don't think, and the UFC is always begging or trying to create stars. He's a star. I don't think the UFC would be like, oh, we're going to put you through the gauntlet now. You're going up in weight. Here's Arman, Gaethje, and Dustin. Good luck. Like, I just don't see it.
But lightweight isn't 135. I don't know if you can Sugar Sean O'Malley somebody through lightweight. You know, I don't think it works. There's just too many good guys.
No, I agree,
like,
but you give him the shot for the title right away, and that's the sink or swim.
But what do you do with him when he gets demolished?
One, I think he fights Charles, Justin, or Armand. Or you ready for this one? He goes back down. He says, especially if he gets smashed and he kind of like, wow, yeah, I can't deal with that. Like that was it. If it's bad,
maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I would expect it to be bad because I don't think Ilya is big enough. I can't see where Volk beats Lopez, the guy that lost a whole round to Dan Ige on 4 hours notice. Like I don't see it. Maybe I'm way off base, but I think Volk is still one of the most complete fighters on planet Earth. I think Ilya is just that good, you know. But that's my 2 cents. Maybe I could be. You guys can come back in a few weeks and tell me how dumb I am. If I'm wrong, I will take it. I will take it, y'all. But I don't have that pick personally.
It's such a weird thing because it's a fine line for me, El. One, I do think Volkanovski is definitely older. And there comes a time in all combat sports, Gaethje, Ferguson, right? BJ Penn, we all see it, Dustin. But then Dustin and Benoit St. Denis, everyone thought it was that. And Dustin's like, no, not yet. Justin, he's done. He just got knocked out to Vasily, to Holloway. That's fight Vasily. Nope, not done yet. I think Volkanovski, guys, his losses are to Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. Like 1 and 2 pound for pound.
Right.
Like, what are we talking about? Diego is not in that realm.
I agree. And he could be. He could be eventually. I just don't think he's there yet.
No,
and
I don't think he can.
O'Malley earned our respect by knocking out Aljo, who was beating everybody, you know? I don't think Diego's there. They're just.
Oh, you ready for this one? Maybe this is a hot take, the kids say. Diego Lopez will never be pound for pound 1 or 2. I've seen too much. He's really good, and he might even be a champion, right? Like, he might beat Volk. He might. Yeah. I've seen too much. He's never going to be pound for pound number 1 or 2. I've seen him.
No, I guess that's fair. I'm with you there.
I think Mozart beats Diego Lopez right now today.
Oh yeah, I think Mozart beats him 10 times out of 10. You know,
I think
like I don't see him catching him, and I think he can't outgrind Mozart. You know. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Ilya has star potential, but I agree 100% with what you're saying here, Chris. Like he's trying to he hasn't put in the work and the time that Volkanovski put in to become Volkanovski, but he's trying to fast track it. And
right.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he becomes the shortest meatball ever at lightweight and just knocks Islam stupid. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I just don't see it at this point, you know?
Elle Dawson, you've been wrong once or twice in your life. The next person who's coming on the show has never been wrong. She has been right 100 out of 100 times, has never made a mistake. The one and only Gillian the Savage Robertson.
I don't know about all that. You hear some of my fight picks?
So on Sunday, I have to say, I just texted Gillian this before the show. On Sunday, G and I were like, man, I just can't think of any other, a whole lot of other Kimuras in the UFC. My feed has been absolutely loaded with them. I just saw another one with Sean Brady finishing somebody by Kimura this morning. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know anything, apparently.
Yeah, we got so much to talk to you about, but this has been ran into your time. This is taken over, and I love it. And we're talking about Volk and Diego and Ilya and all this stuff. To me, this is the most overblown thing ever. It happens. The UFC is in trouble if Ilya loses before he fights Makhachev. The UFC is never in trouble. They will have stars forever. We'll create new stars. No one knew who Sugar Sean O'Malley was 6 years ago. And no one knows who the next star is going to be. The UFC's fine, guys. They're $1 billion entity. They're going to be just fine.
People are always going to watch fights.
Yeah, it's crazy. What do you think about Diego and Volk? And what we were talking about, Diego is definitely maybe more ascendant, and Volk is definitely here. But have they passed each other yet? I think Volkanovski is being overlooked because he got Ilya and Islam, 2 of the best in the world, maybe ever. Right? I just think Volk is being overlooked right now.
I definitely think he's being overlooked 100%. I'm actually siding with him in this fight. I do think
me too.
Yeah, okay. I think it is his fight. I think, and I don't know, because he definitely has proved himself, Diego Lopez. You can't say that he has wins over Brian Ortega, guys who are definitely up there in that division. And it's who else do you give him besides a Max Holloway to really test him up there? So I think it is the right move for him at this time, but for some reason, I still just feel I guess like technically wise, he's not ready for these kinds of moves yet.
I
think
totally
you
agree.
said it without saying it. You said Brian Ortega and then you stopped. Who else? Who else? No Arnold Allen, no Aljamain Sterling.
No Max, no Mosar.
Movsar, he didn't rematch Movsar. You know, I'm with you. I think he's just
Oh, wait, they fought? Who won?
Movsar.
Oh, Diego Lopez lost? Wow.
I can't tell if you're being
guessed it.
sarcastic or if you didn't know that.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
and I like Diego Lopez, and like this is, and I know I'm going too far on it. Great guy, great kid. I hear he's super nice. I love Diego Lopez. Just like people think he's freaking GSP in his prime. I'm like, guys, I seen him barely beat Dan Ige. I seen him lose. I like, I'm not saying that's the only thing, but it's like, I've never been like, he looked good against Ortega for sure, but let's look at Ortega's last 2 years and what he's been doing. Like, you know, I don't know. Crazy.
And like in comparing it to Ilya's run too, you know, like the way Ilya came up, what he did to Bryce Mitchell, what he did to Josh Emmett. Like,
right. No, by this, I am worried. So I agree with this comment. I am like, Volk is he was number 2 pound for pound best in the world at one time. And Diego was number 42nd. I just don't know where the time is.
Are you worried about Max's chin though? Because I think you're discounting how good Ilya is and blaming it on Volkanovski's chin. You know, like that's what I see personally. I think he got caught by Islam. He turned around too fast and then fought a guy like Ilya, who is the first man to ever knock out Max Holloway.
So I'm just looking up his record here, and it's like, so he had that one loss against Mosar, which was short notice and when he got signed to the UFC. So and honestly, that fight even made me a fan of him there, because I remember it was a super impressive performance. But I think he should really have another fight like with a Mosar, with another guy who's top 5, top 5, somebody who's up there before he gets this opportunity. I just think, like, is it technically wise? I feel like he needs more time to really just solidify himself, be more well-rounded. I do think he is a contender in the future. I just think it's not his time yet.
Totally agree. All right, G. So this next topic, I tried to give my analogy to L earlier, and I think it was really, really bad. So I'm going to kind of talk to you through it, I think. So a lot of people were talking about how the UFC in 313, how like it was, people have conspiracy theories about what the UFC is going to do next. And people have talked about how the pay-per-view didn't go well and blah, blah, blah. Also, the fight night before it and the fight night after it, 2 Apex shows, not a lot of star power on these shows. And people are starting to think the UFC is like, you know, hey, we're giving it, we're kind of punting on this last, 6-7 months with ESPN as a partner. And my kind of thing to you, my question and my thing is, I've been through a divorce before. Like I've been through the biggest, divorce that people can have. Like it does take months and sometimes a year of like, hey, I'm done. Like I'm giving up a little bit. And I'm going to it. Like I'm asking you, how you guys ever been in relationships with a significant other? It could be even with a gym or a coach or something, a management group of like, okay, they're not doing good by me. Like I need to move on. I 100% think that the UFC is like, dude, you know what I mean? Like these fight nights that they're putting on, let's just be honest. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, SG. I'm great life right now. Great life. I needed it. My point is, I think the UFC is punting on ESPN. Like for sure. I still don't know who Manel Cap fought in that main event on a fight night main event. I don't know who that guy is. Yeah, there you go. Almaya. I do this for a living. I don't know who he is. Do you guys see what I'm saying, or do you disagree? What's your take?
I don't know if it's because of ESPN necessarily. I feel like it kind of picked up this trend. I don't know. Last year, I feel like their fight night, their Apex cards definitely aren't of like, I feel like they haven't been putting a lot of star power, big names, or it's been like last weekend was an absolutely great fight night, but it didn't have a lot of
anybody though.
Yeah,
right?
Didn't know anybody. Not a lot of star power. Just ended up turning out to be a great fight night. But a lot of obviously those cards end up turning to be like more like regional level shows you're watching, it almost feels like. And I think it has something to do with just the Apex cards, because even when they're going out on the road and doing fight nights, those cards seem to be a little bit more stacked and a little bit more put together. It just seems to be something about the Apex cards. But I definitely feel like I'm seeing the separation from ESPN 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's been rumors about Netflix. That would be awesome.
And what I think is going to happen, I heard this too, is I think the NFL, which is like the biggest sport entity in America, they have games and playoff games and championships on all these different networks, Fox and ABC and Netflix and Prime and all that. I think the UFC wants to one day become as big as the NFL, maybe even bigger, and they want to do the same thing. I think the pay-per-views might even stay under the UFC banner. It's very easy. A lot of people have ESPN Plus already for other things, and they have content under it, good guy, bad guy. Like they have free shows under that banner, and it's an easy way to purchase the pay-per-view. But how about the fight nights? How about 2 or 3 shows a month will be on Netflix? Maybe 1 show a quarter will be on Amazon Prime. You know how they have those ABC shows during the day?
Right.
Maybe we stick that on Amazon Prime. I think we will see in 2026 the UFC under different umbrellas. I think pay-per-views might stay under Plus. It's super easy. We know how to get it and purchase the buttons, blah, blah, blah. But I think your Iowa show, 2026, G, will be on Netflix. I think that's where they're going to go.
No, I could definitely see that. And like I said, I think that's absolutely amazing for the sport if we do end up on a platform like Netflix. Just so many eyes, so accessible. It would just be absolutely amazing. And I definitely, honestly, on my end, even using ESPN, I feel like there's nothing more glitchy.
Yeah.
I'm like, just as a fan watching it, I'm like constantly, anytime I rewind, it always sends me out completely. It's like freezing constantly. I'm like, ESPN is by far the worst app that I have currently on my TV.
I agree. No,
I agree.
And I would love to see them just bump all the fights because all the fights I like to go back and rewatch are on Fight Pass anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'll just watch them on Fight Pass. Everybody has Netflix. Like I'm with you. I think it's a ton of fresh eyes. And I love to see them like marketing the boxing, like pushing Callum Walsh on all of the UFC's platforms too. Like I think it's just they're utilizing more audiences if they reach out and grab people from Netflix, grab people from boxing and bring their eyes to the UFC. I think a solution is maybe not for the fighters because there's a ton of fighters that need fights and it's their livelihood. So this probably wouldn't be something good for the fighters unless they start signing way less people. But fewer cards, or at least fewer pay-per-views, would definitely help them to, I think, distribute the name value more across the cards. So maybe you do more fight nights, less pay-per-views, and for goodness sake, just run Contender Series year round. Like that's the solution, people. Let's do it.
The one thing I was saying Contender Series, and we talked about it before, I think all 3 of us love Contender Series. When it comes during the late summer, it's awesome. I love it. But the one thing I heard, and it's like kind of makes sense, but it's not Contender Series. It's Dana White's Contender Series. And that means Dana White will have to be in Las Vegas, Nevada every Tuesday. And we know that he's literally in Dubai right now. He will be in London in a couple of days for the London show. So imagine if you do Contender Series 40 weeks, he's stuck in Vegas every Tuesday.
Counter argument.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just the Contender Series, not Dana White's Contender Series. And one show, like maybe 6 to 8 shows a year is Dana White's Contender Series. And those are the only shows where he gives out contracts.
Pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant.
I think Al's got the idea right there.
Pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm time marking that.
That's what we need to do. Make Dana White's Contender Series its own show.
That's amazing.
That's what, no, SG, you're totally right. The roster is too big. Guys that I think should have more fights at a Contender Series level are getting signed at 22 years old, and they don't need to be signed yet. Pay them 5 and 5. Let them fight 4 times a year. You know, like that, they can do that. And then, you know, Uber Eats on the side. Like I've done that, you know, I'm sure G did that at some point in her career. Like you can make it work.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the PTs at the PI last time I was there. And she was telling me the PI's only been there. Honestly, it's for the first season that the PI opened was my season of Tough. So the PI's been there as long as I've been in the UFC.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
So she said that back then, whenever she started, that there was just over 300 fighters on the card. Now they're in the UFC. Now there's just under 700.
Wow.
So that's just in 7 years. It's over doubled.
And there's only 52 weeks in a year, guys. Like,
right. And we all know this at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year, 4 weeks, they're gone. So that's 48 weeks. And there's a couple buys. So there's probably 42 shows, 44 shows at most. Like, I don't know. And I think I talked to Elle off air about this. Some of their pay-per-views, I know the main event, and the last one was 313. I think I watched this when you guys were talking about on Sunday, by the way. Shout out Sunday Morning Brew every Sunday. Phenomenal. Poetana and Kalive was awesome. I know the co-main event, we lost Hooker, but still, I think Gaethje in a co-main event still great. Guys, I'm Ignacio versus Jalen Turner, which we were all three excited for. To me, is still not a pay-per-view fight. And maybe I'm on the outskirts of it. Maybe it is. It should be that's a fight night main event, and that's awesome. Give me them on the poster. You promote Ignacio. The female fight, Lemos versus Luciano, right?
Lucindo.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Horrific fight. We all knew that. I felt like we knew that going into it. We're like, this is a pay-per-view fight. It should not be.
I don't disagree with the pay-per-view fight. I actually expected more from both of them because they both have knockouts, which sometimes when you have two girls with knockouts, it gets a little boring. But I don't know. I expected more from them. I don't disagree with you that it probably shouldn't have been a pay-per-view fight. Maybe on the prelims of a pay-per-view weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I think we haven't really hit on this. The UFC Iowa card is incredible. Like, I'm sorry about your trying to get a bonus that night. That's gonna be pretty tough, G. Pretty tough. That card's stacked. Like, how pumped are you to be on? Maybe this London show, we'll get into that next, has a chance to be one of the best fight nights of the year. I think your Iowa show could be the fight night of the year.
Oh, yeah. Like I was saying, I feel like when they go out from the Apex, the cards are pretty decent. This one is absolutely stacked from top to bottom, where I'm like, when I was first told, okay, your fight's a fight night in Des Moines, I'm like, you're going to be like co-main event maybe. And then I start seeing the names they're throwing out for this. I'm like, I might not even be on the main card. Like, there is so many names on this card. The main event, Sanhagen Figueiredo, I'm like,
amazing.
Couldn't even call that one. That's such an awesome matchup. I know Chito Vera versus Mario Batista's on the card.
Yeah. Bo Nickel.
Dude, Bo Nickel.
Midwest wrestler in Iowa. Right. I guess he's not really Midwest. He's Penn, but whatever.
Close enough.
Close enough.
He's white.
He's white.
Bo Nickel versus D. Ritter.
Even
dude, I know they're both older, but
Jeremy Stevens is back in the UFC.
That's kind of wild, to be honest.
He's an Iowa guy, though.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what actually, when I was getting my hair done this week, I ran into Jessica I, and we were talking, and we talked about how Jeremy Stevens was back in the UFC, and she said that he's an Iowa guy. So I'm assuming it has something to do with that they're like giving him like a little bit of a comeback fight or something. Wait,
time out. Wow. I don't care about anything UFC Iowa at all. All right. First of all, I thought this was your natural hair color, so I'm speechless on that. Bro, you got your hair with Jessica I was there? Tell us more, G. What?
So she ends up going to she goes to the same hairdresser as me. It's in Fort Lauderdale. It's called Rock and Roll Me Hair Studios. And I've been going there, I guess, majority of my career. And Jessica recently moved down to Florida. We were actually talking. She has a bare knuckle match coming up. I think it's just before or just after my fight. It's in May, I remember. But we're talking about maybe like I'll get like boxing, wrestling with her so she can work her boxing and I can work what I need, but get some different bodies, different looks.
She for BKFC or do you?
Yeah, I believe so for BKFC.
Wow. Look at that. G's breaking news. G is on the streets for Fight Bananas. Breaking news. I like it.
Yeah, like it's funny. It's a small world.
It is a small world. We were saying that earlier. Like in combat sports, you can't, like, everyone knows everyone, and you can't fake. Like you love it or you don't. It is what it is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Iowa card G is absolutely stacked. I got the UFC press thing on it, and it was like the whole, like, 9 fights on it. It's insane.
Even for me, just to be on the same card as Misha Tate, I'm like, it's something pretty cool. I feel like she's such a pioneer of the sport. So I'm like, I have so much respect for her. And I guess, I don't know, to be in the same position as her, we're both on the same card together. It's just a cool experience in general.
Very true. Very true. A legend, Misha Tate. All right, UFC London, let's get into it. We haven't really jumped on it. We've had a packed show. It's been fun so far for sure. Leon Edwards, Sean Brady. I'm just going to guess. I think you're leaning towards the grappler type. Maybe has some ties to Dean Thomas and stuff. But a really big fight. Sean Brady is the bet-in favorite, which is pretty wild. But what do you think about Leon Edwards fighting in London, defending that home turf against a prospect rising in Sean Brady?
Well, I've definitely been in the English crowd as the opposing force before, and it's not fun, I will say. Lots of boos walking out. Definitely they support their people. They are behind their people more than anything. So it's like Leon's gonna have a lot of momentum going into this fight. But as you said, I have to go with Sean Brady. He's obviously a grappler. Obviously works with my coach too, Dean Thomas. I feel like, I don't know, you saw in his fight with Bilal last time, he was able to get to the back and just control on the ground. And I feel like a grappler like Sean Brady is going to be able to kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's a tough matchup for Leon. I think Jack Della Maddalena's fighting for the championship. So a lot of people have maybe Jack and Brady on different levels. I don't know. I'm just that's what the UFC did. But I think for Leon, this is a worse matchup. Like, I think Leon would have done better against Jack Della Maddalena. That's my take. But yeah, okay. So you guys both agree. I think this is
I think Leon. I'm picking Leon, but I thought you were saying you thought Sean Brady was a worse matchup for Leon than Bilal was.
Yeah,
and I think his grappling.
Oh no, not Bilal, for Jack Della Maddalena.
No, yeah, obviously Jack's not going to wrestle Leon, so of course Sean Brady stylistically is a worse matchup for Leon. I just seeing like the way Bilal fought Brady gives me some concern for Brady, getting outstruck by Bilal. And so I think Leon, it depends how Leon shows up here. I think if he fights super, super safe and smart, he might be able to keep Brady at the end, just because Brady's wrestling style, I think, is a little bit different than Bilal's, Bilal's like glued to you pressure. He's like welterweight Marab. Like, he's glued to you, mat return. Like, and while Brady, I think, does, when he gets the takedown, he is, oh my gosh, his control on the ground is a thing of beauty. I think if Brady can get him there, absolutely. If Leon runs away, makes it boring, stays super long, I think he could edge out Brady. I'm kind of in the middle with a little 1% lean towards Leon, but I think this is a winnable fight for Brady. Absolutely. I misunderstood who you were
all good
saying was a better matchup. But I agree with that. Yeah.
My question on this, if peak Leon Edwards fights Saturday afternoon versus, just say, peak Sean Brady, that both fighters at their best, who wins the fight?
Leon.
Okay. G, who wins the fight? If peak Leon Edwards returns.
I'm siding with Brady still.
Okay. No, I respect that. It's funny because I think if we do see peak Leon of 2.5, 3 years ago, when he was on that run, even beating Usman, even before Usman, people forget about how long of a run Leon was on. Like, Leon had a great welterweight run. I think if we see peak Leon, he does enough to win, I think, but I just don't know if it's there anymore. I really don't.
You could be right. Like, he's definitely, like you said, I think we were talking about trajectories earlier, right? With like
Diego and Volk.
Brady is definitely on the up trajectory here. And I don't know where Leon's at with his,
For sure. Well, Jake, we already saw this. So what we won't see again. They're friends now. Good friends.
Meatball's fighting this weekend. Her opponent dropped out on 2 weeks' notice. So
Estella's a teammate of mine. UK was being really difficult with her visa because she's Brazilian, but she lives here. So they had to move her. So
Oh, that's
Oh.
rough.
yeah,
Yeah.
not her fault. I promise.
Yeah, just rough to lose a fight, especially on like 2 weeks notice. I actually don't know a lot about her new opponent. I've
Me
just seen,
either. Yeah. Me
Good
either.
record,
She fought in
though,
the
right?
Contender Series.
11-1 or something, like really good record for.
yeah. I don't remember her even on the Contender
Yeah, me
Series.
either. Me either. That's funny. Wow, all three of us. Good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck. Last thing, G, we'll let you run. We appreciate you so much. Tell us about this mouth guard. We've been seeing a lot on your social media, getting a brand new mouth guard. How did that come to be?
It's actually the logo that's on my t-shirts, and I have it on t-shirts, shorts, I think maybe other things on GillianRobertson.com or Gillian-Robertson.com. Sorry, mess it up. But my link's in my bio on my Instagram at @savage_UFC. But I'm getting the logo that's on my shirts onto my mouth guard that says "Who Wants the Smoke" with the Savage by Miami Beach Dental Solutions, and they have been absolutely amazing working with me. And they actually came up with like a bunch of different designs, sent me them all. They use this machine to it's like a 3D model of your mouth and literally just like puts in your mouth and takes pictures and then use that to send off to make a mouth guard. So it's absolutely insane, their whole process. The mouth guard, I should be getting it soon. I can't wait. And I can't wait to show you guys.
Ooh, you
We
need to
love
send
it.
that
We
to
love
me. I need a new mouth guard. You know what I did to my old mouth guard? I washed it. It was in the pocket of my leggings. It was the most depressing thing ever. I had it since like my second or third amateur fight. Is the best.
Why? What happens to it when you wash it?
It went in the dryer. It like melted.
Melted.
It was I stuck it in the pocket of I've never done that before. I stuck it in the pocket of my leggings to take a picture with somebody after practice. Threw it in the wash.
G, I know always asking you these tough questions live on air, so you can't give us wrong answers. And I apologize for that. But if we send you some stuff, we had, I think his name is Ryan. He's in the chat. I think he talked to you guys on Sunday Morning Brew. If I send you some Gillian trading cards, will you sign them? I'll put postage in and then send them back to me. So then we'll get them to our guy, Ryan. There you go. So Ryan, there you go. You will get a signed card. Dude, we have a couple here. Dude, eBay. Let's see. We got this one. Young Savage, Baby Savage.
Hey,
this is one of your newer ones. What an iconic picture. This is an icon one. Right
in the red.
Yeah, that's a good one. And we're hoping, we might do this later. We might do it next week. I got a brand new 2025 box. So have you signed some of the cards, G? Have you done that for UFC?
I haven't done it for the UFC. I've definitely had fans send me them before, and I've sent them back. But yeah, I've never had to do it for the UFC specifically.
So we can't get a signed Gillian card in our pack. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not that cool yet.
But we can get an authentic signature.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's way cooler.
Yeah, way cooler. Way cooler. Well, G, we appreciate you. You're the absolute best. And we'll see you soon. If we don't see you Sunday, see you next week here on Fight Bananas.
All right, I'll see you guys soon.
Later, G. The best, Gillian the Savage Robertson. Look at that. We're gonna get a signed card for our guy Ryan.
We gotta put somebody on blast here in the comments. I'm sorry, Ron, but this is just a low IQ comment here. When Nate Diaz almost dropped Leon after losing every second of a 5-round fight, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy, Ron. Come on, man.
Don't be that guy, Ron.
Don't do it, Ron. Man, dude, breaking news. Jessica Ice fighting in Bare Knuckle FC?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
We have to cut that up.
Yeah, heck yeah. Has she fought for them before? I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch a lot of
She hasn't fought in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's so funny. Jessica I was on this show. I think it's something I was just doing. I never talked to her before. She was a great interview. Really good interview. Very fun. Very just like talked about anything. Very knowledgeable. Good interview.
Seems like an awesome person.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So we got Ian Parker in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Works for ESPN, works for the PFL, which
but it didn't. But it didn't change anything. Jessica works at Pembroke Pines UFC gym.
Gillian just texted me. That's so funny.
What?
We might have to do the Men in Black erase thing from people. You did not hear anything about Jessica through us, okay? What a show. Unbelievable.
Oops.
Yeah, not through us, guys. Say it was another podcast you want.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. She's watching us making fun of us. All right, we're moving on. 3-4 minutes left. Ian Parker. Big PFL month, L. Next month, you're going to be doing a lot of PFL. So am I. Big stuff. But real quick, can I talk about what I just did this past weekend?
Please. There's a video Dave sent me, but you go.
This is a Ross Levine shirt. We are supporting Ross and Maddie Levine. Turbo Kickboxing Academy is opening very soon. This is a Ross Levine shirt. I couldn't get my TKO shirt in time, so I'm rocking with my guy Ross Levine. All right, there you go. So yeah, this past weekend I was doing some ring announcing. Christopher J would be proud of me. Doing some ring announcing for Brand Risk Promotions. This is the Aiden Ross promotion. Andrew Tate was there. Teofimo Lopez was there.
I love Teofimo. What a guy.
I talked to him for like 3 minutes. Nicest guy ever.
Oh,
really good guy.
Such a good boxer.
Yeah.
Like just an incredible fighter. Ross Levine and Sam Alvey are my inspiration. Let's freaking go. A Ross Levine fan. Sorry.
Awesome. Shout out to Ross. PFL's heading to Wichita. Is L coming home to cover it?
Ooh. Trying to send me back to the Midwest.
We talked about they're also in Chicago and Nashville. We're going to Nashville.
We'll be in Nashville because it's Nashville. Maybe I'll head back to old Kansas to manage to put out their top 5 fighters in one side of the women's flyweight.
But I'm excited. We're going to be covering it next month in Orlando. 4 events out of 5 weeks. It's going to be fun. But okay. So I was at Brand Risk. Not even that, guys. So the fights were great, guys. Anderson Silva's son, Gabe Silva, was there live. Had a really great boxing match. But probably the biggest thing of the night, and this is what Elle is talking about, and she wants me to say it. They had a Kiss cover band of midgets. I think I'm allowed to say that word. A little bit.
It was great.
It was so good.
Like that. They were pretty good.
Top-notch entertainment.
They were pretty good.
Dude. They pay well. Let's just say the cash is in the mail, if you know what I mean, guys. They pay very well, so I'm going to keep on doing it. But I know they got a couple events coming up. But, yeah, check out Brand Risk Promotion.
Dave, I have to go to the bathroom so bad, and I want to do it before Ian Parker comes on, so I'll be right back as he comes in.
Go to it now. All right. Well, we have our next guest coming on. We just talked to Sam Alvey. Elle is running to the restroom. We've been live for over an hour and a half. But so excited. Never talked to him. I've seen him at events. So pumped to have him on the show for the very first time. Works for ESPN. Does a lot of stuff with the PFL. Our main man, Ian Parker. Ian, how are you, brother?
I don't hear anything.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, no.
Okay, I'm going to kick you out and then come back in, okay?
Leave and come back?
Yes, sir. All right, hey, we've done better. We've done worse. But there we go, dude. I always love talking with Ian Parker. Pretty pumped. Guys, PFL is taking over Orlando, Florida in the month of April. And I want to talk about the new tournament format, new stars. How about Phil Davis is fighting back in the light heavyweight division? And also, of course, let's just talk to him about a couple names like Dakota Ditcheva, Johnny Evelyn, that's not kind of on the radar right now. It doesn't have a fight. So very intrigued to see, what he thinks about it. Oh, yeah. Also, our betting question. We got to ask him about the betting question, guys. So if you have any questions for our main man, Ian Parker, put them in there. I think they prefer calling dwarfs. Dude, it was righteous. It was wild. They did like the whole, did the fire thing like Kiss did. What a show. But I'm telling you guys, Brand Risk Promotions, the fights were just, they were fun. They were fun. It's more like an influencer thing. It's not a lot of high-level people, but Gabe Silva is an absolute stud. So there we go. All right. I think Elle is back. You're on mute.
I muted it so you wouldn't hear me coming in and out.
Well, yeah, Ian Parker couldn't hear us either, so he came back and come back on.
Oh, okay.
We hope. I don't know. He might heard how you left the show and went. And
as soon as he came on, I just had to run.
Yeah, but let's see if the volume is working with our main man Ian Parker.
I don't hear anything. Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Okay, I'll keep you down.
No rush. Well, it's all good. It's a live show. It happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Grant said they weren't kissed. They were peck on the cheek.
Come on, Grant. You got to do better than that, Grant.
My husband in the comments.
Yeah, so you showed him the video?
Oh, I don't know if I showed him that or not. I can't remember. I think I did.
It was wild.
It was
they had
so
another performance. Yeah, it was a fun
The first time Dave went out there, somebody got in the boxing ring in the middle of the card and literally just showered it with cash.
Yeah. It was Sexy Red was in the ring.
Thousands of dollar bills just flying around.
$2,000 of singles.
Jeez. I did. Apparently I did show Grant the video.
Dude. Grant Dawson, I was defending your honor earlier in the show. Hopefully you like that. I was defending. Everyone was trying to think of a different favorite all-time fighter. I was like, no, my number one, Grant Dawson. Let's go. All right. We're praying to the MMA gods. The volume is going to work. Can't wait to bring him back on. He gives me the thumbs up. So we're money on the show. Ian Parker. Ian, what's up, brother? How are you?
Third time's a charm, So sometimes just got to click the unmute button and the sounds and the settings. I've had this same setup for PFL and ESPN for 5 years. I've never touched a button and I don't know, but we're here, right? So let's do it.
It's us. We're the problem. It's okay.
Yeah, it's us. Just blame Fight Bananas. We're okay with it, my man.
Nah, it was probably me. It probably wasn't you guys. It was probably me.
First and foremost, let's stick there. You said 5 years. How has it been over the 5 years? ESPN, PFL, and everything you've been doing. It's been great to follow your journey and other stuff beforehand and seeing you now. Love watching you from afar, my man. How has it been?
Oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a wild journey, to say the least, right? Going from owning Cage Hero, sponsoring fighters, then to managing guys, bringing someone like Chris Weidman into the UFC when I had no idea what I was even doing, to now kind of being the mainstay for sports betting for both the UFC through ESPN and then the PFL. It's been amazing. On the PFL side, everyone has treated me tremendous. Really have helped me with my growth. And that's what landed me with ESPN. And on the ESPN side, dream come true. I mean, growing up watching SportsCenter, getting to do all this now. And, my parents always told me that the betting thing was not a good idea. And now that I do it for a living, my mom's like, maybe I should place bets. And I'm sitting there going yeah, you were yelling at me about those $5 poker tournaments. Now it's all fun and games right now. But it's been great. This is truly, I'm very lucky in the situation.
Ian, just tell your mom no parlays and bet on the underdog on female MMA. You'll be good. Just bet female underdogs.
Yeah, no, and the over 2.5. Although, listen, that last card in the Apex was something else, right? We always complain about these Apex cards, and then we get them thrown right in our faces and we lose the argument after 1 week. So I get it.
It's so funny. We were talking about it earlier. People complained about the Apex cards or not pay-per-views. In April, massive PFL events on Thursdays and Fridays, and then we get sometimes UFC afterwards. It's going to be a great month of April, my man.
Yeah, you know what? The scheduling really worked out. I'm excited. I'm going to be on site for the PFL cards, and I'm going to be on site for the UFC main event in Miami. I live only 45 minutes to an hour away, so right. I love being busy. I love the fact that everyone's doing everything, and you know what? There's just enough MMA for everybody, guys, right? Let's stop getting all upset about who's fighting who. Let's just sit back and enjoy this sport and just bet on every single fight. Who cares?
I love that. You said you're a betting man. Today, Dave opened the show saying that what was it? December 10th.
December 10th, 2022, this man bet on Darren Till defeat Dricus du Plessis. I had to get it off my chest, Ian. It's a horrible mistake.
Listen, there's been worse bets. Been worse bets. And you want to know something? For a little while, you were looking pretty good.
You're right. You're right. A round and a half, I was in there.
You were in there to round 2 until du Plessis was like, you know what? I should probably wrestle a guy that has no jiu-jitsu off his back in Darren Till. So, listen, I'm telling you, I've seen way worse plays. I've been told some of my plays end up being good or bad and vice versa. So, I'm not mad at it, bro. I'm not mad at it.
My question for you, Ian, is what is your worst betting story of all time?
Oh, there's so many. And you know what they say? You remember your losses way more.
You remember
than
the
your
bad beat,
victories.
the flush on the river. You always remember that. You never remember how you slow played it perfectly. You know,
I've been pushing ESPN to allow me to do a bad beat segment just across the board, not just mine, but in general, right? Because like, imagine having Magomed Ankalaev as the last one you're parlay, and then he gets triangled by Paul Craig, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a fight to go over 1.5, and 3 seconds in, the guy taps, or fight to start round 2, and the guy just drops and forgets how to fight. It's rare that it goes the other way in the win form for you. It's usually on the bad luck side. But I've had quite a few really bad ones. I mean, last year, I'll say one of the worst beats. It wasn't that it was so bad. It was just one of those I thought I had in the bag was Raquel Pennington and Juliana Pena. And my prop of the night I gave out was Rocky by decision. And you know what they say in those fights, Dave? You said earlier, it's like death taxes and the fights that go the distance in the women fights, right?
Yeah.
To that extent. When they read out Juliana Pena, I was sitting there. Me and Chael were sitting there, and he looked at me, and he was just like, man, these judges are just wild. And but then at the same time, though, I was on Santos 2 weeks ago when Francis Marshall clearly won that fight. So I can't – sometimes it goes the other way with no explanation. So
Right.
We'll get into the PFL here in a quick second. Another just personal question with you, Ian, is like, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years as well. I've been all over the country, interviewed, done some in-ring stuff with some of the biggest people in the world. Her husband's Grant Dawson's been with some of the biggest people in the world. Is there a fighter or two or someone in the media space that you were like, oh, wow, like you got to pinch yourself? It's like, hey, I'm having dinner or I'm on set with this person.
Well, one, you could tell Grant Dawson I said thanks because when he fought last, that was my Parker. No BS. So either you look that up or you and I are just like this. That was my what we call as Parker Premium's play. So like my lock of the night was Grant Dawson to win and over 1.5 rounds against Diego Ferreira. He scared me a little bit when he started playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots when all he had to do was wrestle. I was sitting there and everyone was staring at me in the suite, right? Because when you have your biggest play of the night early in the card, you're either going to like chill or you're going to be stressed and catching all the trolls for the next 5 hours, knowing I'm getting on a plane at 3 a.m. to head back home to Florida with the world hating me. I will say that you know what? I try really hard to not act that way, like fanboying out, although I've been such, because I'm been here, I'm there. But I'll tell you, the first time I got to work with Chael Sonnen, who has become one of my best friends that I never expected. I mean, I'm talking about, I get like a FaceTime call from him, and he's just in his bathrobe at like 2 a.m. my time. And I will literally sit there and say, what is it? Who's even when I wrestle and when I don't? Dude, he's watching this live. Grant, you were my biggest play. You scared the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie to you. You were dominating. You got tagged, and then you tag him back, and you're playing Rock'em Sock'em. I didn't say your striking looking bad, but you had me sweating. My underwear was so far up me, I was tasting the back of my throat. And what was it, the middle of the second round? Come on, bro. I gave you credit, bro. That's an amazing live comment right there that totally threw me off my tracks. But
sorry.
No. That's perfect. I love this type of stuff. I absolutely love it. No, Grant, you're the man. Huge high ceiling for you, my friend. I think Chael was one of those people because when you watched him growing up, you kind of saw the bad guy and you saw the persona, but he is like the sweetest guy on planet Earth. I mean, literally. A few weeks ago in Vegas, he brought me to the filming in The Ultimate Fighter where we were at the grappling tournament. And then it was me, him, his son, and his father-in-law, and then our security, whatever, at In-N-Out, right? And I'm sitting there going like, I'm just being able to be friends with this guy. So that was, having that friendship with him has been truly special. He's just, when you talk about those personalities, right? He's up here.
One of one.
It's crazy. Yeah.
He's a one of one.
He's absolutely one of one. But there's been so many people. Like I've got to work with John Anik and as well, like from his podcast, and then getting to work with him in this regard. I mean, that man is truly credit to his work ethic. There's just no one that works harder than him. It's wild. So
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, we're big fans of Anik as well here, and I know you've worked closely with Akamoto. I know like the UFC's gotten really heavy into like working with like Minty Betts and some of these other betting personalities. Do you like the right? You've made a give me a little giggle there.
Well, first off, shout out to my brother Brett Okamoto. Brett and I have an amazing relationship because Brett and I are such opposites with personalities. And I will tell you that my goal of every show is to make him so comically uncomfortable. I will say things purposely just to get him to crack a smile and laugh. When we're on set together and on site, the dude is actually very funny. And because he's not funny, he's so funny when he does it, right?
Yeah.
I think there was one time when Jim Miller was fighting for like the 17th month in a row. And it was one of those really bad Apex cards. And I said something to Brett like, how do we talk about Jim Miller without talking about Jim Miller? Which makes no sense. And Brett just lost it. And that warmed my heart. I was like, yes, I cracked him. Yeah. So sorry, what was that last part of the question? Sorry, I lost.
No, I brought up like they've done stuff with Brett, Minty Betts, and I just like, do you like the route that the UFC has gone by incorporating more betting? They partnered with DraftKings, partnering like with Stake. Like, are you a fan of how blended the sport has become with the betting community?
I think, well, first off, how do I say so? Betting is hard in general, right? And when you're giving out advice on TV, you're exposed because if you lose, you're the worst. If you win, you're the best just for that moment. And, like Yanni, the Greek, for example, he's been around forever doing a lot of other things. And him and I have become good friends over the years because we have such different styles. I mean, I think I look at it from an analytic perspective. Him and Minty all do this. Like they're very big on trends and percentages. And I just don't believe in that in MMA. But I do think it's a very fun element that brings everyone together because let's be realistic, right? When we're watching the Contender Series, nobody's sitting there 3 days before going, I can't wait to see the undefeated guy from Uzbekistan versus the guy from Brazil that hasn't fought in 3 years I've never heard of, right? But everyone's on Twitter going, I'm taking the plus 900 underdog because I don't know who they are. So you're sitting there and you're watching for the race. So I think that's what betting has brought to this sport. It's brought a different level of fandom, more eyes for different reasons. I mean, it's just the way it goes. So I love what they're doing. Honestly, I would love to jump on, with the UFC sometime, but Minty's done a good job. Yanni and Nick do great jobs with their shows. So, and there's room for everybody. I mean, betting, I do my thing on ESPN and PFL. So I think everyone's really great. Everyone I've met. And it's funny when we're all together though, when Yanni and I are together talking different styles. We were at Power Slap, sitting there betting on these guys smacking the heck out of each other. That was wild. But it's I think it's a pretty cool thing. As long as you're in control of your betting, it's a whole different story, but it's a fun environment for sure.
All right.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was going to say, let's transition into the great PFL.
Exactly what I was
going to go ladies first. I was taking this over. And once in a while, you just got to show dominance. Thursday, April 3rd, Friday, April 11th, Friday, April 18th, and Thursday, May 1st, all in Orlando, Florida. Elle Dawson and myself will be live in Orlando. Seems like you will too, Ian. You said that you were going to be down there in Orlando?
Yes, and normally I do it remote from my studio here in the house. And Elle, by the way, I'm in Parkland, Florida, so I'm down the road from American Top Team. I know.
I live in Parkland.
Listen, I've been a kept secret in Florida for a long time.
I'm going to DM you, dude, right now.
You and Grant can come over and watch Fight Night here whenever you guys want. By all means, I swear, I've been friends with Dustin and Tiago Alves, his kid and my daughter are in the same class together at school.
No way.
Yeah, so I'm right down the road by all means. But yeah, I'm going to be in Orlando because it's a 3-hour drive. Super excited. I spoke with the PFL and they want me on site as much as possible. And it just so happens to coordinate. But the Miami show, for UFC, I'll be there, so I'll do that one remote. But otherwise, so for at least two of the Orlando cards, I will be there on site. And then when they come back to the Hard Rock, I think it's probably August, I will also be on site as well.
How do you love the new format? Let's get into the new knockout format. Are you a fan of it? Did you like what they were doing with the season? How do you love this new format?
All right, so the original one, I think still could have worked, right? I think the issue was that when they got to round 2, there may have been concerns of who would win, who would lose to make it a more attractive playoff situation, right? Because when you're looking at March Madness or any type of playoffs in any sport, the 1 seed plays the 8 seed, 2-7, and so forth. And there, that wasn't really happening. And I think it was confusing people because it was almost like, what's the point of the ranks, right, in that situation? So what they did was said, listen, let's remove it and let's just do right out the gate. Sorry for the scream. That was probably my daughter yelling at my son, but it's chaotic.
We're live. We're family. I got 4 kids at home. We're on spring break.
God bless you, dude. I got so many locks on this studio door because my daughter will get behind here and start playing like ghost stuff. So we don't let that happen. But yeah, so I mean, I think they simplified it. I think the tournament is fine, and I think the rosters they have, there's some good prospects in there. Yeah. They do have some seasoned veterans that I think can make a splash and cause a little bit of a stir. And a lot of those guys are good litmus tests. Right. So I think the PFL, by doing it this way and trying to kind of start over, bring the 2 rosters together within reason, while trying to manage that champion series that will take place later on, probably summer, whatever it is. There's a lot of potential there still. That's the good part with the PFL. There's a lot of potential.
With all of these new faces in the tournament this year, which I'm stoked to see because I know you've been watching MMA long enough to remember us seeing Chris Wade and Bubba Jenkins fight every single season twice. I'm stoked to see these new faces. What's your most surprising, if you can give it, I don't know what PFL allows you, what's your most surprising pick for people for this season out of all the tournament structures?
You mean to like win?
Yeah.
Oh, I can say whatever I want. Don't worry. We're good there. I'm Dave, I've been waiting to come on this show for years, bro. I think you and I have spoken. I've been trying, man. You guys got too big for me, It finally came around, Elle was like, come on. He told the world to bet on Grant. Let's get him on the show. There you go. Man, each division, I think, has some surprises. I think, obviously, you got a guy like Ali Talib who won at PFL Mania. This guy's got crazy power in his hands. Now, do I think he beats Magomed Magomedov? Probably not if it gets there, but this just kind of shows that the world is not closed off and that there's so many different parts of where MMA is still being discovered, right? I think someone like him, look, in heavyweight, you got Alexander Romanov, who's coming off of 2 wins from the UFC and now jumping in. I would love to see him versus Moldavsky. I think that fight really gives you a good idea of the heavyweight division there. I'm very interested how Impa does going back to middleweight. I think this was always the right weight class for him. I think he got away with it up until running into Doublet last year, who is just like built like the backyard shed or whatever they call him. I mean, it's tough with with the power there. Let's see who else. There's an alternate at welterweight that I wish was in it named Thad Jean.
I love that Jean.
Yeah,
guys, I will tell you this, and I think he's an alternate. It doesn't mean that he deserves over other people, but he is a prospect, as you know, that won the Challenger Series. He's so young. I don't know how he makes 170. It's crazy. Dude is a beast and young. If he gets in, I would love to see what he does there. Kieran Clark is another guy. It's a very interesting prospect. I'm glad he's getting some shine. And let's see, light heavyweight. Man, I'm such a Razor Rob Wilkinson fan. I think he's so underappreciated. I know he had his situation a couple of years ago, but if you talk to anyone who trains with him, they say he's one of the most underrated, well-rounded, talented guys out there. I mean, you look at him like a striker, but you can't take the guy down.
Right.
Oh, look at Lovlet. Lovlet fighting him has incredible wrestling and really struggled to get him down. Yeah.
Spot on. So I think with Phil Davis, if Phil Davis doesn't get that takedown early, I think he's going to be in for a little bit of trouble there. And that's a fun matchup as well to kind of right out the gate. You're getting someone in Phil Davis who's got a name behind him, who's had success, a little bit of an up and down once in Bellator. And then you got Wilkinson, who won it, took the year off, got to the semis, and he's getting another chance to really go out there and show the world what he can do. So I'm excited for it.
You touched on Impa, and I want to bring him up because I 100% agree with you. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm not trying to take all the questions from you. But I have to ask a question. Because I agree with you. I think he's been in the wrong weight class, and I think he's belonged to 85. Is it disappointing to you to see him finally getting his shot at 185 the year that the 185-pound tournament might be its other than lightweight, it might be the most stacked division.
Yeah, you know what? It's a fun division. I think that some of the guys in there, like an Aaron Jeffrey, where Jeffrey is good, in imposing his will, taking people down. but can he get Impa down, right, to do that? You know, I think also Josh Silveira is a very similar situation, right? Silveira keeps fighting Impa and losing. Otherwise, he may have won, and now he's going back to his natural weight of 185. Look, Impa's the guy that he knows what's in front of him, right? And this is kind of the position he's in. I think that, to your point, how do I say this the right way? I think if he were to win this season as opposed to winning at 205, this would make his stock value go up that much more because of the level of competition in this weight class. The first year the PFL is doing middleweight. Look, if he carries that same power he did at light heavyweight, along with new speed, I mean, his cardio, the guy doesn't even open his mouth when he breathes in 5 rounds. So it's crazy. So if you see someone like him come out there, do what he did at 205, comes to middleweight, and he's able to just do what he did, it's an exciting time for someone like Impa, because I know what ultimately he wants. He wants that Johnny Eblen fight back. Right. And if he goes out there and just tears through middleweight like it's nothing, that also makes that rematch that much more exciting. It gets someone like Johnny Eblen, who I know Eblen wants to fight the best that they possibly can do. And with what's out there, I do think Impa is the most marketable matchup that could come out of that tournament for him.
Let's call it transition in the business. On my notes, I have Johnny Eblen's name in big black, permanent black marker.
We're like this, dude. It's crazy.
I know. I'm telling you. We're the most positive, I feel like, outlet brand there is. We're always pro fighter and pro, personality. But the one question I will want to ask you, I'll put fire to the coal a little bit. Where are we on Johnny Eblen? What's your take on Eblen and Patchy and Dakota Ditcheva? Maybe the biggest star under the platform, not having anything on the horizon. Maybe there's a championship series. What's next for those kind of superstars?
I mean, I think those questions for me to answer with a ton of specifics would be way above my pay grade. Although I'd love to be that guy to come in here and give you everything. But I'll tell you what I know.
Sure.
My honest opinion, based on what I've heard from upper brass, is that they are going to do the Champion Series. I believe July is the goal, in which they're going to do 2 Champion Series this year, in which those fighters will compete on. So here's the thing when it comes to the laundry list of guys that you mentioned, guys and girls, fighters. Sorry, not trying to genderize that whole thing. It is what it is, right? When the PFL grabbed Bellator, when they bought Bellator, there were a lot of contracts, I'm sure you guys heard about, that were absurd. Let's just call it that way. Very expensive. Hard to justify, not because of how good the fighters are, but because of the return, the deals they have with media. It's hard to like Patchy and Johnny are so expensive, not their fault. It's like good for them, but you can't justify throwing them in the tournament and paying them potentially 4 times in that year. You'll make nothing. So I think the goal for the PFL is to put them in championship fights twice a year for now. I mean, listen, that could always expand, and that's what the Champion Series is for. The tournament will develop either a number 1 contender or another top 5 to build the roster, while the Champion Series will host a champions fight, number 1 contender fight. So I think you're going to see Johnny Eblen defend his belt. Patchy Mix will defend his belt. For Dakota's a very interesting topic, right? Because and Elle, you probably see her more than most, right? It's like, what do you like for the PFL right now? I think their biggest challenge is, what do you do for Dakota that's best for Dakota, right? You want to make her a star. You got to give her someone that for her to beat, meaning if she beats that person, it makes her more of a star. Right. Otherwise, if she fights someone like whoever at this point, the world's going to look at the PFL and be like, oh, you're feeding her cans. And that doesn't do anything for Dakota, right? I almost thought what she did last year was a year too soon almost, because that was great competition for where she's sitting at. So, I mean, look, I don't even know what options are out there. Maybe the woman, Paulina, who won the PFL Europe division last year, is someone who could come over and compete with her. I do know that they don't want to wait for the tournament to develop a winner, because then Dakota's going to sit. So right now, I've thrown some ideas out there, some crazy ideas, out of the box ones, because you just kind of, I think with Dakota, How about
Rose Namajunas coming from the UFC? Rose Namajunas versus Dakota Ditcheva.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Rose was a free agent, they would have signed her, immediately, to do that type of fight. And I think, but look, right now Rose is still at the UFC, still having her up and downs, and until the UFC feels that Rose doesn't provide that value for her, or is not a litmus test to bring up the next prospect, they're going to hold her. So look, I hope for Dakota that she gets her Conor Jose Aldo moment in the PFL, because that will just, because I think everyone sees her skill set, right? It's there. There's no doubt about it. She passed that Tyler Santos litmus test of
My colors, yeah.
not only can you not get me down, but if you don't get me down, I'm going to absolutely annihilate you and make it look easy. And, you know, even with Jenna Bishop got her down. She stood back up and she just finished it. So, look, I think she's an absolute star. I think she's a star in the making. You just got to get someone to help build her brand and her value. And also to keep her on her toes. You don't want her to get too comfortable where all of a sudden she slips on a banana, no pun intended with the show. And, you know, that wasn't even planned. I'm just that witty right now. But,
not good. Ian, the one and only Ian Parker, all right?
There you go, right?
Last thing for you, my man, and we'll let you run.
You're good.
On the horizon, could be UFC or PFL. Is there something you have your eyes on? Is there Leon Edwards, UFC London as an underdog? That has me very intrigued. Is there something in the next 6 weeks you're like, Dave, keep your eye on this bet?
Well, look, obviously the interesting part about Leon Edwards is how does he bounce back from that Bilal loss? Because that was a bad loss. Let's just call it what it is. He could blame it on the time zone that he lives in. That's crazy because Bilal had to go through the same thing. But I give him a lot of credit, though, because this to me is a similar matchup as Bilal. And if you ask anyone, including Bilal, Sean Brady is an absolute maniac on the mat. I mean, physically strong, can keep you down. And if his striking sets up his takedowns, it's a brutal one. I mean, look, I'd be lying if I wasn't interested in the Volk versus Diego Lopez fight.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun. Does Volk come back here and he take out what he's calling the new generation and do his thing, or is Diego Lopez ready? And then look, you know, then you got the PFL tournament right around the corner. I'm very interested in Jason Jackson versus Koreshkov. I think that's a fight that's flying under the radar for the PFL. You know, Jackson dropped his belt, then now it's his chance to come back, and he's being featured as the star of the tournament. So there's a lot, man. April is going to be a really, really fun month. Like, we're going to be busy. We're going to be betting. And we're just going to get to enjoy it all. I'm pumped.
Love it. I love it. I'm so pumped. We got a little March Madness here too for the next couple of weeks. Us betting guys are in a good spot for the next month. Ian, man, appreciate you so much. I can't wait. I will definitely, hopefully shake your hand in Orlando, Florida in the upcoming weeks. Appreciate your time, brother.
Guys, I appreciate you. I'd love to hop on anytime. You guys are awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Ian.
There you go. The great Ian Parker. That was good.
He's super fun to have. I love having guys like him and Rafael Esparza on. Like, it's just such a different look than what we normally get interviewing fighters, you know? So love that.
I've had more texts on my cell phone in the last 18 minutes than you can ever imagine, El Dawson. Let's just say that. I'll talk to you later off air. But we got a minute 30 left. What a crazy life. All right. Dude, Ian was great, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I'm very interested to talk to him. He lives in Parkland. We live in the same city.
Dude.
Parkland's not big either. Like, Parkland's a pretty small community. So
can we all meet at that Starbucks? At that cool Starbucks?
That one's actually not even the closest one now. We got to go to Carmela's now.
Unbelievable. I don't know what that is, but
they have gluten-free avocado toast.
We might have something very big in the making over something at the Dawson's house. A long live show.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, could be zinned with energy. I don't know.
Dude, Chris Duncan is a disrespectably large underdog.
I thought he was the bet-in favorite.
Absolutely not. He's like a plus 350.
I mean, I'm on it right now. I'm on my app.
I'm pretty sure that's what Grant just told me.
Yeah, he's actually plus 275 right now.
Okay, so people got smart because he was way bigger of an underdog earlier.
Should I bet money on it right now?
There's one style of fighter that is a struggle for Chris Duncan, and that is a absolute knockout artist. This guy has like one TKO finish.
Let's go, El.
Chris Duncan is almost impossible to submit. The highest level grapplers in our gym struggle to submit Chris Duncan. Like, it is shocking that he's this big of an underdog against a guy who doesn't have insane knockout power. So, in my opinion, I think Chris Duncan is fantastic value. Fantastic value.
Jan Bonhovic plus 210. Like, Molly McCann's the underdog to this newcomer.
Dude, that record for a girl though, I don't know much about her. Let's look at what's her name. Actually, I can just look up Molly McCann.
Hey Grant, you don't have a betting app, my man. Get off the goddamn live feed.
My app has it. He's not placing any bets.
Okay.
Research, market
Oh,
research.
my
Alexia Thinera, which is a cool last name.
Great name.
11-1. 11-1 against 7-0, 5-1. Okay, she's fought like 2 tough girls.
2 fighters.
And finished decisions against the 2 tough girls, finishes against everybody else with losing records.
How about Jai Herbert, only a -130 favorite? I like Jai a lot this weekend.
The ESPN Plus app. Grant's clearing it up. The ESPN Plus app has him at +300.
Good job.
Let's see. I'm excited to see. Has been on a submission tear since. I gotta be honest, I haven't done any much like film research on her yet. Cause like I think you can look at people on paper and be like, oh, well, the girls they fought just aren't like, don't have crazy records. Most of the girls that Dakota fought until she fought Tyler Santos didn't have crazy records either. But if you go and watch her, you can see the skill level. So I need to go watch this girl before I make an assessment.
Guys, we gave you over 2 hours of live, amazing content. When Elle said she needed to go to the bathroom 35 minutes ago, that's when I did. So I am running out of this show. Sam Alvey was amazing. Elle Dawson's always amazing. Gillian the Savage Robertson broke some news that I already see on the internet. Jessica I is doing something maybe in the future.
Grant made a killing at the slots last time he went to Vegas, by the way.
I never even heard this story. I talk to you every single day. I never heard this story.
Tell you. Well, I'll tell you. You go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom. Thanks,
All
guys.
Right. Ian Parker is awesome. We're going to see him in Orlando. We'll maybe do some more content with them. Also, they're probably neighbors. They probably live right next to each other in Parkland, Florida. Guys, big stuff always on the horizon. We'll see everyone next Tuesday, Sunday, morning brew with Gillian and Elle. We'll see everyone later. I have to go to the bathroom really bad. I'm talking super fast. Have a great